Hi, this is Mark Blumberg, and I want to give you a quick introduction to a website that Blumbergs has developed that provides lots of great information on Canadian charities. So it's called CharityData.ca. And essentially, as it says at the top, it has 19 years worth of in-depth data on Canadian registered charities. The first way that groups typically, or people use this website is they just type in the name of a charity. So pick any charity that you're interested in, or pick an activity that a charity does. So if you pick, for example, healthcare, then some charities will come up, and then you can basically pick one of those charities and essentially jump to that charity and see information on that charity. Okay. You can also go, if you want to look for a specific charity, just type in that specific charity, jump to that particular charity, and you can see information on that charity. So I'll just take this as one example of a charity. It shows the revenue and expenditures. It shows a little bit of information about it, like that it's a charitable organization, not a public foundation or private foundation. It's where the charity is provided at the website for the charity and their address. It gives a description of their current programs and new programs that they have been doing. As well, in terms of historic data, it has assets, liabilities, revenue, expenses, staff, fundraising, and programs. Okay. And all this information comes from the T3010 form that are filed by registered charities every year. Hopefully, they do a good job of filing. The information here is only going to be as good as what the charities have provided, and then CRA has to input the information. So if you would like to know what line number a particular thing is on the actual T3010 form, you can just toggle here where it says line numbers, and then you can see that. You can also, if you want to, for example, look at, here is assets, and you can look across all the way till 2003. If you want, you can export these, and you basically have an Excel spreadsheet with the information in it, if that is helpful for you. Maybe you're doing an analysis of a whole bunch of different charities or something like that. But anyway, that's just something that you can do if you wish. We've made it easier to have the information exported out. At the bottom of every page, it has who are the directors, trustees of the organization. And then, so that's assets, liabilities are listed here. Revenue goes into all sorts of different things about how the charity received money. So for example, issue tax receipts was a big part of it. And then at the bottom is total revenue. And so if you're interested, for example, in which groups get government money and things like that. Here, for example, they got money from the federal government. Okay. And then that's on the revenue side. On the expense side, it's broken down by what types of expenses they had. And that's listed here with the total expenditure of, say 439 million. But then those same expenses are looked at again, but broken down by, was it charitable, was it management, administration, fundraising, etc. So just so that you know that that's how the expense one is dealt with. Staff, a few questions on that. How many full-time employees, part-time, how much compensation was paid, and things like that. Also, in terms of top highest paid employees are listed here. And so that's information on staff. In terms of fundraising, it has all sorts of questions. Did you do certain types of sales, or, for example, or mail campaigns, et cetera, and also did you use external fundraisers, and how did you pay them, and things like that. Also, something that we have that's a little bit unique is essentially you can look at what other charities said they made a donation to this particular charity. So then it has those listed. Base World Vision's T3010. This is from the T3010 of these other organizations. And, so this is just a quick way to see these groups claimed that they gave World Vision a donation, a gift. You can look here, what money was given to other registered charities. Did they give money? Yes, they did. They gave a certain amount. Who did they give to? And then here we have the last sort of 5 years with some of the largest of the donations that were made in the last 5 years. Do they do foreign activities? Yes. How much? All listed here. And then who did they give the money to when they were doing those foreign activities? So it lists the organizations that were given money in that way. Also, you know, how much was given in terms of how much money came from essentially global affairs, and what was the value of these projects they were doing with global affairs. And then also, did they export goods around the world? And in this case, they did, so it lists that. And then also political activities, which are now, as of about 2019, are not being asked about anymore. But you know, did they do political activities in the past? So that's also listed there. That's the most basic information on charity data, which is essentially just to look at an individual charity. You can also do a director search, so you can quickly search and see if a person is involved with a particular charity, or if you know they're involved with a particular charity, you can look up the charity. But if you don't know if they're involved with any charity, you can look them up and you could segment it by, say, provinces and things like that. Also, there's the advanced charity search function, which can be really helpful for those who are looking at more in-depth information. You can search by many, many different things. So for example, if you want to see who were the groups that spent the most amount of money outside of Canada, here in a matter of a second or two, you've got the list of the groups that did that. Then you can also break it down to say, you know, maybe you want to look at something else, who, you know, gave out the most receipted donations, but you want to look at it just for a particular city, and you can basically do that. And if you click on that, it'll basically take out only the groups that are in that particular town or city. Also, you can look at the designation. So if it's public, private, or charitable organization, you can look at categories. There's 252 different categories here. If you just want to see secular cemeteries, for example, then, you know, and in this case, it's receipted donations. You can see them listed that way, or you can just see them listed generally, and that sort of thing. Revenue, we have, you can basically search charities based on, you know, did they have more than 5 million in revenue, or 30,000 or less, things like that. So, you know, 30,000 or less is 25,000 charities, and less than 30,000 in revenue. So that's amazing. It's a very, you can also look at assets, you can look at expenses, and you can look at full-time employees. So if you just want to look at, you know, who has more than 100 employees in a particular city, you can do that. And I jumped from the page. Then you can also look at search by provinces, cities, postal code, etc. So that is basically just a very quick summary of the capacity of charity data, and we'll have more detailed information for those who are interested. I'll also point out that we have an about section which talks more about it. We have terms, obviously, and descriptors and other things which are important to understand and read. We have frequently asked questions as well, which answer some of the, it's about 30 frequently asked questions that go into lots of detail about sort of things that people are wondering about this website. Anyway, hopefully you'll get some use out of charity data. Remember that the data here is from the Canada Revenue Agency, and it's only as good as the material that is actually provided in the T3010 filings by the charities. So there can be mistakes, obviously, in this information, but at least it gives you some information about Canadian charities. So thanks again, and hope you enjoy the website.